Hello, I am the Pickled Onion Knight. It is the 21st of December 2018 and this video is going to be on the pros and cons and some pickups from the London gaming market. So yeah, let's look at the little intro bit and then I can get started on this. So what is the London gaming market? Well, it is exactly what it sounds. It is a gaming market that is held in London. And it's held every 3 months. The next ones are in March, July and November 2019. Now, this is the first time I've been to an event like this. And what I will normally do when I'm out game shopping, now I have my lists of things that actually I should just say, if you're only interested in what I got, and you're not interested in hearing about the event, then you can go to this time code here on the video and that will take you straight to that. So if you want to ignore the first bit and just get to what I got, honestly you're not going to be amazed. You're welcome to do that, so do that then. Yeah, so what I do, I have my two lists. I have my my wants list, or rather this is my haves list, and then my wants list. So what I did though, which is a bit different, because this is a gaming market, it's a reasonably big thing, although apparently not as big as it has been previous years or at previous events. So I decided to have a wish list of very specific things that I was looking at, not the usual sort of, you know, stuff that I'm always looking for, but actual specific things that I thought I might find at something like this, as opposed to rooting around charity shops and things like that, or boot sales. You get the idea. So like very, very specific things. And I think the thing is, I don't want to put people off doing these kind of events, and I think these kind of things should be attended. But basically, my first impressions of this sort of thing, in this sort of scale. I mean, obviously, I've been to gaming markets before, but nothing on this sort of scale. You know, gaming markets that I've been to previously, or albeit not for a few years. You know, it's been like 8 or 10 trestle tables of sort of private sellers setting up to sell stuff that they basically can't get rid of, and because they can't get rid of it, they're selling it at a knockdown price, which is fair enough. So it's all sort of common stuff that you used to see at these sorts of events. Now these more organised, bigger events, the thing is, it's still the same. There was nothing particularly specific there. I mean, I can get into stuff and explain stuff as I go along. So basically, I've done this wish list of stuff that I would expect at least to see one half decent example of at a gaming event like this. And this is my wish list of stuff that I was looking for. So I was looking for a TurboGrafx pad with a turbo tap. Now, if you saw the previous video I did to this one, you'll know that I've recently bought a TurboGrafx, the European version. But I was looking for a couple of the American accessories because there aren't any European accessories, they're all American one. Could I find one TurboGrafx pad? No. Could I find one turbo tap? No. Could I even find any TurboGrafx games? No. In the whole event, and I'm sure somebody will correct me in the comments if I did miss something, and if I did, then I'm genuinely sorry for that. I found one loose Hue card, Japanese, so no good to me, it can't play it. And when I say loose, I don't mean in a plastic wrap, I mean rattling around at the bottom of a box with some Mega Drive cartridges loose. So, you know, probably scratched and I don't even know what game it was. Didn't even have a price on it. And the only other thing I saw that was almost relevant was there was somebody that had one PC Engine pad, and there was another guy off in a corner somewhere that had a PC Engine with a controller sort of wrapped up, and wanted like 140 quid for it, which made me feel good about the fact that I'd spent 140 quid on a boxed European TurboGrafx to see that even the much more common Japanese one, just in some shrink wrap with a controller, was going for the same amount of money. So that did make me feel a little bit better about myself.
Now, I should just quickly explain, as I'm doing the edits for this, I have realised that I've made a mistake. There was actually one table that did have quite a lot of PC Engine stuff, seemed to be specialised in Japanese games, in fact. And they had Hue cards and Super CD and Arcade CD and all that. But it was all for the Japanese version. And that's why it kind of slipped me past, because I can't play them. So it's not that there was no PC Engine stuff there. It's just that a lot of it was useless to me. And to be fair, I think it was only the one table that had maybe half a tote of stuff. So yeah, before somebody picks me up on that, this is me realising that I should have mentioned that, and I'm mentioning it now as I'm doing the edit for the original video.
Safari Turbo games. Didn't find one. I've been looking for some of these because I've got the adapter. I haven't got any games to go with it. In case you don't know, Safari Turbo, I'll put a picture of it up there, is an adapter that goes in on top of a Super Famicom for basically playing Safari Turbo games. I don't know if I've done a video. I think I planned to do a video on this and never quite got around to doing it, but there's a picture of it there. So I wanted to get some of them, couldn't find one. A Super Game Boy Commander, Super Nintendo pad, wanted to get one of them, couldn't find one. And Super Game Boy 2, the Japanese version, the second Japanese version of the Super Game Boy. I wanted to get one of them because I'm going after some of the more weird Super Famicom, well, more the hardware, really. The software as well. But more the hardware. So that would pretty much them three things: some Safari Turbo games, Super Game Boy Commander pad, and Super Game Boy 2 would pretty much complete my set of the Japanese hardware that I want. Except for a Satellaview, I had no interest in going for that. Although, interestingly enough, I did see 2 Satellaview games, but you know, I don't have a Satellaview, so there would be no problem in there would be no interest in me going after them. So the other things I had on my wish list were just certain Mega Drive games that I was looking for, cartridge only. Micro Machines 2 with the extra controller pins, Micro Machines 96 with the extra controller pins, Micro Machines Military with the extra controller pins, Sonic 3. Because I don't want to pay eBay prices for it. Virtua Racing, which I did find. I found a Virtua Racing in the box for a tenner with instructions, but when I looked at the bottom of the cartridge, it looked like one of the pins was actually missing, and I didn't want to trust it. And I'll come back to that in a minute. I wanted a cartridge-only Rolo to the rescue, a cartridge-only Megalomania, and a cartridge-only Wiz and Liz. Yeah, I'm going for the British games, mostly. the Sensible Software, Codemaster, Psygnosis sort of stuff. The British Mega Drive games, you know, the ones that were probably very popular in Europe, but didn't sell anywhere else in the world. So I know Micro Machines obviously did sell in the US, but the extra controller pin J carts are you know, I think they're really neat. You know, I like them. I think it's a really good idea. Couple of PS1 games I wanted to knock off my list was Soviet Strike and Nuclear Strike. So, spoilers for later. And I wanted to see if anyone was selling any PS1 demo discs, specifically the official PlayStation ones that came with certain Net Eurose demos on them. And while I'm still on the subject of demos, I was looking for some DS download station carts. Now, most of this stuff, I mean, it's not an extensive list. It's not a list of particularly weird stuff. I mean, when you're talking about a market that's aimed exclusively at gamers and specifically console gamers, because there wasn't a lot of PC stuff there either. Specifically console gamers, this is not. this is not a list of holy grails. This is stuff that is to a collector is pretty readily available, and does exist and isn't that difficult to get hold of. But the trouble is with some of this stuff is that it is, some of it can be overpriced. Fair enough. If I had walked in there and somebody had a Super Game Boy Commander controller, for instance, even not in the box, and had it up at 45 quid, I could probably have swallowed that, due to the fact that I would probably pay the same amount of money for one that's actually in Japan, and then I'd have to pay, £10-15 plus possibly an import charge to actually get it here. So I would have swallowed 45 quid for one of them controllers. Not one in the whole event. What it basically was we got there, paid 20 quid on the train to get there, because I only live 30 miles away from London. And I did hear other people there with regional accents that had obviously paid a lot more to actually get into London for the day. Unless I'm just assuming that. But let's assume you'd come from somewhere else in the country. I think you'd be pretty disappointed to turn up at this event today. What it seemed to be was 30 odd tables of people selling the same 200 odd games at some eBay price, or CEX price if you prefer, because they're pretty interchangeable now. So basically the price you would pay walking into a shop, and some just ridiculously overpriced. I mean, not even eBay price. You're talking eBay, buy it now, extra postage, nonsense price. And I understand that these people have to make money. But it was just constant. It was seeing the same sort of 100, 200 games everywhere you looked. The same ones. Yeah, there was a few people that had different things, but most of the different things they had were all marked up to silly money. So I wasn't interested. I can give you a couple of examples. I mean, literally, I went to one table and he had the Super Nintendo combination cartridge, the Mario World, Super Mario All-Stars cartridge, at £15. Now, if I didn't already have both of them cartridges separately, and I wanted the combo cartridges, £15 isn't too bad. I mean, £15 is probably what you would pay on eBay anyway, and then you chuck in, £2 postage. So probably you're looking at an eBay price of £17 to £20 for that cartridge. So yeah, okay, that's £5 off. Literally 2 tables across, exactly the same cartridge, exactly the same condition, £35. It's like literally 10 yards, 20 quid difference. You're doubling the price and adding a fiver. No, I didn't even buy the £15 one, because like I say, I don't need the combo cartridge because I've already got both of them games. But that is one, to look at. And I'm looking through these loose cartridges of like Mega Drive games, and and you're coming across this stuff that is just so overpriced, it is unbelievable. Splatterhouse 2 cartridge on the Mega Drive. Okay, yeah, we know it's a game that can go for a relatively high amount of money, but usually when it's in the box and it has the manual and it's in quite good condition, Splatterhouse 2 Mega Drive cartridge, scratched up label on the top, scratched up label on the bottom corner of the cartridge label, £25. No, I'm sorry. Some of these are just, it is just ridiculous. And when somebody's priced up a game like that is so overpriced, there's not even a point in haggling with them, because you're going to get nowhere. If somebody's priced something at 25, even if you haggle, they're expecting to go down as low as 20, and then that'll be that. You couldn't even attempt it. Also, because the event was so busy, you're literally getting 2 seconds of somebody's time before somebody else is moving on. And this is what I'd just like to say about these kind of events, is I would love to support these kind of events, but you've got to be fair. I mean, you've got to understand, yes, you are going for a collector's market, and yeah, if you've got something in a nice shiny box, or even still in the shrink wrap perhaps, then yeah, you can set it at a premium price. But if I've got to go to an event, pay to get in, and then rifle through a box for 10 minutes to find a cartridge, and then find that you've got it priced up silly money, you know, you're not getting my money. I'm sorry, I'm not doing it. And I'll explain this in a minute when I get to the pickups. I just think it was ridiculous going all the way down to London. And like I say, it only cost me £20 on the train. It cost me a fiver to get in because I got there early, or early-ish. Got there at 11. It opened at 10:30. I got there about 11 o'clock. Yeah, so I've come to you. You haven't got to send anything to me. I haven't got to find your presence online. I have come to an event where lots of people are selling. And everything just was over. I mean, literally the stuff I got, the only reason I got it is because A, it was on the list, or was on one of the lists, and B, it was at a reasonable price. And even then, the stuff I've bought is at around the eBay sort of CEX price mark. There is nothing here that I have actually saved any money on, and this is what has annoyed me about the day. Is that I've spent my time and money to actually go to an event like this, and I haven't actually so that £25 layout that I've spent on the day hasn't actually netted me anything. In fact, I've lost out of that deal, because if I had factored that £25 into postage costs, I could have got all of these on Buy It Now, eBay, for cheaper than I've spent on the day. Do you see what I mean? So if you want these events to be supported and continue, my advice would be price things fairly. You know, it did actually seem to me, and you know, somebody correct me if I'm wrong. If you sold there today, then do correct me if I'm wrong. But it did seem to me like a lot of shops had just boxed up their old crap that had been sitting around and they couldn't shift, and decided to try and shift it today, but not to actually shift it at a price where it was priced to move. You know, it was very much, that's the price. You know, and what are you going to do with that? You know, I mean, literally, what are you going to do with that? So let me just get on to some of the good points. Let's get on to the good points. Now, there were some good things there, and there were some interesting things there, but generally it was the new stuff. There was a company that was there that was doing Game Boy shells and Game Boy Advance shells. I forget the name of them, but I will look them up and I will put them online. And yeah, they again weren't that cheap. But I think if you're the kind of person that likes to mod your consoles, and you know, maybe recase your Game Boy in a new shell, or get a nice bright screen or something for it, then yeah, that sort of thing was probably custom designed for you. And they seem to be doing okay. There was a lot of interest around their table. It's not for me, but that is the kind of thing I like to see. Is something that's gone, well, there's going to be lots of collectors here. Maybe we should offer them something that's a bit unusual, a bit different from the norm. And again, even as you went in the room, there was one on the other side, opposite them pretty much, that was doing pre-modded consoles. So you walk in there and immediately, here's this Sega Saturn that we do, and yeah, we've got it modded with RGB out and HDMI out, and you know, look at it running at 480p, and this is how much it costs. You know, I forget what it was. It's like, I don't know, for the Saturn, maybe 150 quid, which is a lot for a Saturn, to be honest. But I think if you were to buy a second-hand Sega Saturn and do their mods yourself, you'd probably come out about the same price anyway. So I don't think they're actually making that much money on it. I mean, there was a Dreamcast there they were selling, and it had all the stuff. It had the full... what do you call it? The VGA into HDMI, I forget what they call it, the memory card mod, where you don't actually need to use discs anymore. It's like an SD card that goes in the console. And yeah, that was 220 something quid, I think. I think it was about 225 quid. And that seems like an awful lot of money, I'll grant you. But like I say, if you were to buy a Dreamcast that was in working order and do that mod yourself, you're probably coming out about the same price. I mean, bearing in mind that it's quite a few hours' work to do something like that. You can't just rip the cover off and stick a memory card in. You know, there's things you need to do. I don't think that's an obscene amount of money. No, bearing in mind that I had already figured on spending the 25 quid, so that was separate. By the time I got to the venue, I mean, I could have walked out with one of them Dreamcasts. I went there with £400 in cash in my pocket. What I ended up spending was about £25, maybe 30 if you're pushing it. Because I went with Sue. I bought her a couple of things as well because she didn't have any cash on her, unfortunately, which is things I'm not going to show because she's already taken them home. So even though I bought for myself and somebody else, I have still got more than 3/4 of the money that I went out hoping to spend on the day. And this is what I mean. It's like, why I'm looking at stuff and I'm pricing it up in my head, and I've checked some of these prices when I get home, and they are high eBay, and not even, you know, they are high buy it now eBay, not even something that I might win on an auction. They are high buy it now eBay, and some of them were even more than I could just click on the CEX website and get delivered to my house. I could literally get some of the stuff that was there today delivered to my house, some of it in better condition, for less money than I could have bought it today actually going to an event, which is crazy. And like I say, had I walked in there and there was some seller of weird Japanese hardware that was selling a couple of Sifami Turbo games, I may have torn his arm off for it. If I'd walked in there and seen some TurboGrafx stuff and a Turbo Tap, you know, I might have spent 100 quid with a guy, you know, on a few games and a Turbo Tap or something like that. If I'd have walked in there and somebody had all 16, I believe it is, of the DS download station carts, you know, for 120 quid, I would have just handed it over. You know, I wouldn't, because it's stuff that I actually wanted, and it's stuff that you don't see every day. Unfortunately, what happened was I went to this thing where it was just the same everyday stuff I see in every single retro game shop. Sometimes even in charity shops, you know, entire boxes of PS2 games that you would normally find in a CEX or a charity shop priced up at 50p, for some reason priced up at a £5 because they've put them in a little plastic bag, you know, with manual not included written on them. And you're just going, this is insane. There was no reason for me to come here. And it's not as if I can sort of go out and go, well, I've only been in here half an hour and can I get my money back? No, it doesn't work like that. Because I've still spent on the train ticket, I've still spent on the entry fee. So we actually ended up going round twice because I thought, no, there must be something. This can't be all it is. And this is what annoyed me. So anyway, the point is, since getting back, I've been on the online forums that exist. You know, there are a couple of the Facebook groups. Anyway, I forget the main one that I was on this evening. But supposedly the Doncaster one is actually a much better one. It's different sellers that go to that one, and their prices are supposedly a bit fairer. Not necessarily better, but supposedly you know, I should have checked this out first, I suppose, before going to the London one. But I don't think that's an excuse. Just because you're in London, you can charge more for things. I think that's the way the world is perceived. But bearing in mind that at the pub next door to the hotel where this thing was held, a full pie and chips or pie, potatoes and veg Sunday lunch with a pint is £9. So don't tell me that just because you're in London you have to charge silly money for things. It's not how it works. That was what a few people have sort of said about the thing, but I don't buy that at all. But supposedly the Doncaster one is the thing to go for. There's one of them on the 2nd of December. Unfortunately, I can't make it because there is no way I can take time off in December. So I'm looking at going in March. So there'll probably be another video then, maybe where I whinge quite a lot. Anyway, on to the pickups. What did I get and for how much? So this is the first thing I bought. Was a Mega Drive controller. And this is going to illustrate what I'm talking about, because this was the first thing I bought pretty much as I got there. Just went round the corner, guy had some loose controllers sitting. How much are the controllers? And he said £8. And without thinking, I just bought it. And I don't know why, because I know these aren't worth £8. Well, for two reasons. Number one, these aren't worth £8. Usually 4 or 5 is what you'll pay for these, but I wasn't thinking. I didn't have my thinking cap on. I wasn't. Do you know what I mean? I was just there. It was just kind of getting busy. I'd already pushed past a couple of people, yeah. So I paid £8 for this, and I haven't tested it yet. But this is the other thing. If you go to one of these events and something doesn't work, exactly what's your comeback? I mean, if I walk into CEX and get one of these, or even if I get one sent from them to my door, if it doesn't work, I send it back or I take it back to the shop. And even if you say, okay, so sometimes they're charging £4, sometimes they're charging £5, you don't know whether you're going to get a white button one, a red button one, whatever. But £5 plus £2.50 postage, so even if I ordered it from CEX, I'm 50p up on the deal. And what happens if this controller then doesn't work? I can't take it back. What am I going to do with it? Nothing. I throw it in the bin. So, that either I've overpaid by this by 50p or more, or I've spent £8 on a piece of crap. So, yeah, but it caught me off guard. I wasn't thinking, whatever, bygones. So that was the only piece of hardware that I actually bought because there wasn't anything else that I needed knocked off my list. I think I found I was also looking out for a couple of Wii Motion Plus controllers. I found one Wiimote and it was manky. So I didn't even bother looking in the battery door because it was absolutely encrusted in a box, and it wasn't even a Wiimote Plus. It was one of the original ones. So screw that. I didn't even ask how much it was. So one of the games I bought: Sonic the Hedgehog on the Master System, £3. Now, any day of the week, loose. This is a £1 to £1.50 game. Albeit you would have to factor shipping on top of that. So let's just go nuts and say £2.50 shipping on a maximum £1.50 game. Let's just go even more nuts and call this a £5 game. If I bought this, buy it now off eBay, cartridge only. So have I really saved £2 here? Well, like I say, cost me £25 to go to the event, so no, I haven't. Eternal Champions Mega Drive game, £3 this cost me. Again, let's work it out. Cartridge isn't in the best condition. Do you know what I mean? This is not a minty cartridge. In fact, it's a bit of a manky cartridge if you look in there. £3, and yeah. I mean, this is a game that I did want off my list. I used to own it years ago. I have no idea what happened to it. And I did have a conversation with the guy selling it who was telling me about how the Mega CD version was cheaper. And I said, well, I'd love to get the Mega CD version. Unfortunately, I don't have a Mega CD. And it's not likely that I'm going to buy one at any point in the future because of their notorious unreliability. I might consider buying a top-loader version if I found one cheap enough, because that would probably be a lot easier to repair if it was wrong. But anyway, I'm getting off the point. £3 for this. So let's say that's about standard. I think £3 is probably about standard. So if you factor in another £2.50 shipping, you could say I saved £2.50 on this cartridge. But again, like I say, cost me £25 to get there. So did I save £2.50? Well, I would have had to have bought 10 of these, which I obviously didn't. Mick and Mac Global Gladiators for the Mega Drive. And now I looked at the Edge connector when I bought this, because as I do with all loose games, the first thing I look at is the Edge connector. And it seemed fine. And then when I got it back here, that looked to me like water damage on the label. So I got my game bit and I opened the cartridge up, and it's fine inside. I haven't actually tested it, but it looks fine inside. So that's fine. £4 this cost me. Now, I know a boxed version on the. I think on the CEX website at the moment, a boxed version of this with a manual is £8. So to call the cartridge only a £4 game, I think really is, choking the cheese. It really is. Although, aside, if you ignore the top bit, the label's actually not in too bad condition, but it's still got sort of gunk and food and things stuck to it. And like I say, that is very clearly water damage at some point on that label. That is not somebody that's peeled this up and this is bubbles underneath the label. So, yeah, £4 game? No, I don't think so. Now, I did actually manage to knock 2 off of this list, the list that I specifically went with to here. Soviet Strike for the original PlayStation, PlayStation 1, complete with manual, apparently. Now, I haven't opened this up to check, but £4. Now, this was one I was happy with, because I honestly have no idea how much this game goes for. You see it often enough, but this is one where the price can go either way. On the right day, you can probably get this game for £1. On the wrong day, you may pay upwards of a tenner for it. You just don't know. And again, this is the Platinum version. This is not the Black Label version, which doesn't bother me, because I've bought it to play it. I haven't bought it to sit on a shelf. I've bought it to eventually get round and play it. So £4 I'm reasonably happy with, and bearing in mind, like I say, this is a game that flies about wildly, so yeah, happy enough with that. And then Nuclear Strike on the Sony PlayStation, and this is obviously the black box version, and somebody's left the cheats in here on a little post-it note, so yeah. But the manual looks fine, the disc is fine, and yeah, this is another one. I think this was £4 as well, because this wasn't actually priced up. Scratches on the case though, but it doesn't matter. But I think this was £4 as well, and this is another one I'm happy with. So, of the stuff that I actually managed to buy, I'm terribly disappointed with the whole event. And of the stuff I've managed to buy, I'm happy with 2 things. I did end up buying another 2 things, which was games that Sue had that went with me. She wanted, I was looking for DS games as well, but I didn't find anything that I wanted that was reasonably priced. I did see there was one of the Final Fantasy games that I was after. And I did find a boxed copy of it that was complete. And the price was about £35, and I thought there is no way. I am not paying 30. I don't even know if it goes for £35, but I'm not paying it for a Final Fantasy spin-off game on the DS. It's not even a numbered one; it's a spin-off game. No, sorry. It's Final Fantasy A2 something or other, but it's the only one on the DS I don't have. But it wasn't worth paying 30. It's somewhere between £30 and £35. Let's say £32.5. It was, and no, not paying that, because I don't think I should have to go to these things and pay eBay prices for things. I just don't, or CEX price. I shouldn't even be paying that. I should be. I'm not saying they should be giving stuff away for free, but all I'm saying is the sellers need to appreciate that people have made the effort. People have got up early on a Sunday morning. They've gone into London from where they are, me 30 miles away, some people probably 100 miles away maybe, to go to these places to buy things. And like I say, I mean, I went down there with 400 quid in my pocket. I spent next to nothing you know, my whole spending money, I've come back with 3/4 of it and then some still in my pocket, because the sellers haven't had it, because there's nothing there that I wanted to buy. Well, there was a few things that I wanted to buy, but not at the price they were selling them at, because some of them were just ridiculous. But anyway, so the 2 DS games I bought that are not pictured, I will try and put a picture of them there. One was one I'd never heard of, called Room something or other. And the thing is, I'm reasonably familiar with the DS library, and I said to Sue at the time, I said, well, this one was priced at a £5. I said, well, it could either go one or two ways, basically. If it's a DS game that I haven't heard of, it's either so rare that I never see it, or it is so common that it becomes just like background white noise. You know, it's nothing that's ever stood out. You know, nothing that's ever hit my eye line, basically, because, and this is the problem that the DS, and specifically the DS and the Wii have when you're trying to collect for them, and the PlayStation 2 to a large extent as well, I suppose. Anything with a glut of sort of vapor shovelware, not vaporware, but anything with a massive glut of sort of shovelware. If you haven't heard of a game that's on that system, it either means it's really rare, not very likely, or it's just part of the background white noise. You've seen it, you've probably clapped eyes on it so many times you didn't even notice it standing out of the crowd, sort of thing. And that was one of them. So paid a £5, went and looked it up on eBay, looked it up on CEX. It's worth £1. So £4 I overpaid for that. But on the flip side to that, she also picked up Animal Crossing. What's the name? Is it New Leaf? Animal Crossing something or other, the one that was on the DS. And that was marked up at £8. And any day of the week, that is a £15 game. And this was box complete, all the instructions, Club Nintendo number still in there. You know, everything. Absolutely complete, pristine condition. Looked like it had never been touched. Marked up at £8, £15 game any day of the week, maybe more some days, if you get it on the right day. So she did quite well out of that, especially considering she didn't actually pay for them. I'm the one that paid for them. So, yeah. Now, this is going to seem like a rant, because it is, but I just think... I'm not telling people not to go to these things. I'm just saying, don't be as naive as me when you do. Don't think that you're going to something calling itself a games market and you're not going to see, and you're going to suddenly see stuff that you don't see pretty much everywhere else. You know, like I say, I go to a games market, and say there's 30 different stall holders there. It is amazing I only saw one PC Engine console. Absolutely amazing. It is amazing that I only saw one Amiga CD32 game. I think even in Britain it is amazing that I only saw, I think, 4 Jaguar games the whole day. And they were boxed and priced to not sell. I mean, absolutely priced to not sell. And it was insane. And I'm picking up Super Nintendo cartridges. The same, going to every time. I started to get bored after a while. I mean, you're going round, and every table had the same 30 to 40 Super Nintendo games sat there. It's like every single one of them's got a Mario Kart, a Mario World, a Zelda, a Metroid. The same games at every single stall, priced within sort of, well, some of them priced wildly away from each other, but none of them worth buying, because they were all, even the ones that were wildly priced out were priced wildly low, were still hovering around that sort of eBay price. And you just get to the point where you think, well, why would I bother taking the time out of my day and actually organising a day off, because I organised a day off work today. I was meant to be working. So I've organised the day, I've paid the money, I've gone all the way down to London, I've been there 3 hours, paid a £5 to get in, and this is what I've come back with. Like I say, bearing in mind, I went out to sort of spend and genuinely fill in some gaps in my collection, and it just amazed me the amount of PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 3 stuff there. So presumably some of these sellers have gone, oh, we'll fill up the van with all the PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 3 stuff. Why? I mean, honestly, can you name 50 PlayStation 2 games? Or can you name even 20 PlayStation 2 games that regularly go for more than a £5? I mean, honestly, I challenge anyone out there. Name them. Don't look them up online, but name them. See if you can even do it in your own head. Even if you're familiar with the PlayStation 2 library, can you name 20 of them that regularly go for more than a tenner? That it would be worth sticking a box of them in the back of a van to get rid of them at a game selling event. Do you know what I mean? Some of them, it genuinely did seem like they'd just taken all the shelf fillers. I mean, honestly, I'm picking through like boxes of Mega Drive games and boxed Mega Drive games as well. And I'm looking at FIFA, Madden, blah 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 blah. And it's just like, why have you even bothered bringing these to this event? I mean, surely there is no Mega Drive collector in the world that can't get hold of sports games for no money. I mean, honestly, if you go on eBay and you buy a Mega Drive that comes with games, half of the games you get are going to be sports games. If you're even starting a collection, that's the first ones you're going to knock off your list because they are cheap and they are everywhere. What would be the point in trying to sell them at an event like this? I know the point, because you've got them all priced up at a £5 when they're pound games. So anyway, I'm just hoping that the Doncaster one goes well when I decide to go, which hopefully will be some point at the beginning of next year. I'm planning on doing it over... actually doing an entire weekend in Yorkshire and going to the Doncaster one when it's on that weekend. So might be a nice weekend's holiday in Whitby or something, and then drive down to Doncaster to go to the games event. So basically, what I want feedback wise from this video is, were you there today? If you were there, feel free to put your comments. If there was something that I missed and you were there, feel free to put your comments. If you sold there today, feel free to explain yourself. What's the game? If there is something I've genuinely missed. I mean, let's just say there's something I don't know about the event, and you've paid, I don't know, £200 to set your table up there for the day. Something silly where you'd have to mark the games up so much in order to make the money back. I don't know, maybe you've paid £200 for a table and you've got 3 staff members there all day that you've had to put up in a hotel. I mean, something that would explain the ridiculous prices on these things. Just anything, justify yourselves. That's all I'm saying. If you did sell there today, justify what you were charging for things. And also, the people that brought van loads of PlayStation 2 games that were all ridiculously overpriced, that mostly were shelf fillers, justify that. If you can, justify what the point was, what the thinking in your plans was behind doing that to try and sell to a room full of collectors. Because I guarantee most of you went home with, well, exactly like me. I went down there with £400, I've come back with 350 plus. Right, and I dare say most of you were the same. You went down and 7/8 of what you took down in the van has come back with you. So please do explain the thought process behind that. And anyone else, if you know of a better event going on, then please do put that in the comments as well. And as usual, if you want to complain about how I'm ranting on, I don't know what I'm talking about, I belong in a mental institution, thank you, I can't remember your name, whoever that was, you might be right, you might not be a million miles off. But yeah, so that's it. That's the end of this video. And I don't want to put a downer on these things, but I started the day with so much optimism, and I have ended up at the end of it so disappointed, because I was literally, I mean honestly, I went down there, I had a messenger bag with me, and I had 2 folded up, them bags for life, them canvas bags, like the big orange Sainsbury's ones. I had 2 of them with me, folded up, because I was expecting to come away with so much swag, and ended up literally getting a handful of things. The bags for life never came out of my messenger bag. This stuff that I got all fit in there. So yeah, this is it. This is the end of the video. Now, I did toy with the idea when I knew I was going of actually getting some footage, but that, to be honest, that seemed a bit pointless, and I figured that anyone else who was there would probably do that anyway. So, I mean, I would love to be able to prove all that I was saying, but if you saw anyone else that was there, I invite you to go and see whatever they've recorded, and hopefully they've, either deliberately or accidentally recorded the things that I'm saying here, so you'll know that I'm not making this shit. I mean, anything that I may be a little bit skewed on the prices, I put that down to, not remembering properly, because it was basically something I saw for a minute today, hours ago. But I think mostly I've got my facts right on this. So, and if anyone does want to disagree, there's not going to be the argument of, well, I was there and you weren't, blah blah blah. I'm just not going to get into that. But like I say, from my point of view, I started the day with such optimism. I was really looking forward to it, and after being in there half an hour to an hour, I was just so disappointed. I mean, just absolutely unbelievably disappointed. And the second time going around, because we went round once, went out for a little break, got a drink at the little pub that does the cheap pies, and then went back in, did another hour, 45 minutes, an hour in there, because I thought, oh well, maybe I have missed something. Maybe I really genuinely have missed something. We'll go around again. Take another proper look, and still nothing. I actually didn't even buy anything my second time round, because I genuinely hadn't missed anything. And there was other stuff I was looking for as well that weren't specifically on the list, that I was very surprised weren't there. Game guides, for instance, like the Brady Games guides, and the what's the other name of the company that used to do them? Used to do all the Final Fantasy, Piggyback and things like that. I was expecting to see stacks of them there. I was expecting to see the what's it called? Retro Play guy. He wasn't there. He's been shilling his magazines out at every... Is it Retro Play? The one that's designed by the same people that did the graphics for Super Play and all that. Or no, Super RPG. That's what it's called. He wasn't there. His little magazines weren't there. I was expecting that as well. I mean, where are all these people that turn up to all these other gaming markets, and why weren't they here? Because they're organised by the same sort of group of people. This, they replay events. I mean, apparently they organise all of these things. So what's the deal there? Where are my Final Fantasy guides? I'm missing Final Fantasy VIII. If anyone's bothered, I need that. I need that to complete my entire set. So where are all these people? That's another thing I want to know. Where's the people selling the guidebooks? There did seem to be people selling odd things as well. Like, I mean, I understand it's the same market, but like Pokemon cards and Magic the Gathering, fair enough. I can completely understand that, but where's all the other stuff? Where's all the weird stuff? Where's all the niche game stuff? There's people selling bead art. Again, fair enough. It's not my cup of tea, but I can completely understand why it's there. And even that, I mean, it's them Hammer bead art things, and they seem to be more reasonably priced than some of the games. Right, I think this has gone on too long. Basically, you've got the gist of what I'm saying. You've seen the pickups, and I absolutely invite everyone who sees this to leave the feedback. And yeah, sure, call me a nutcase if you want. Say that I'm very naive. You don't have to be too nasty about it, but genuinely, I want to know. there are questions here that I want answers to. I mean, am I going to waste my time, for instance, going all the way to Yorkshire at some point next year? Yeah, Doncaster's in Yorkshire. Going all the way to Yorkshire next year, and is it going to be the same? You know, am I going to be disappointed there? What are the prices like there? Are they insane? Is this genuinely because it is just London and people think they can get away with it in London? I don't know. I would love for somebody to tell me, because like I say, this is the first gaming event I have been to in a very, very long time. Because normally for me it's charity shops, boot sales, and you know, if I see something that I actually want in CEX that looks in half decent nick, I will get it there. You know, or eBay, unfortunately. So I mean, it's not as if it's a shock for me to pay the going rate for something, because I do it quite often. But I just think if I'm going to an event like this, that shouldn't be the case. And like I say, stuff that I should be able to get there. Reasonably common Mega Drive games in Britain, Wiz and Liz. Not one copy could I find. Well, no, tell a lie. I did find some in the box, but they were silly money. Megalomania, I think I saw 3 in the box. Again, silly money. Megalomania is a good game, don't get me wrong, but it is not a £15, £18 game. No way. Even in the box with the manual, it is not a £15 to £18 game. No way. Virtua Racing is a £10 game, fair enough. But the one copy I came across it as a £10 game in the box, this is what it should be. You know, the pins didn't look right. It literally looked like one of them was missing. And like I say, I can't take the chance on that. Because by that point, by the time I got round there, that was about halfway round, coming up one of the middle bits. And I thought, I can't take the chance. There is no way I can take the chance on buying this game, even though I'm not even saving money by buying it, because I can literally go on the CEX website now and for £12.50 order it in the box, you know, and if it doesn't work, I can take it back. But I can't do that at an event like this. And this is another thing that people need to factor into their pricing. If something doesn't look right, it's not going to get bought. Because if I get it home and it doesn't work, what do I do about that? What was the other? Sonic 3. Not one loose cartridge of Sonic 3. Not one. I saw 2 loose cartridges of Sonic and Knuckles. Now, bearing in mind, this is a very common thing to find in a loose cartridge because it came in a cardboard box. A lot of the boxes got wrecked. It's not like a normal Mega Drive box. This Sonic and Knuckles came in a cardboard box. Okay? There was one that it has a flap on the top. There was one that was there. The flap was actually snapped off. Still wanted a £5 for it. Like, you're dreaming. No way. There's literally bits of the cartridge missing, and you still think you can charge eBay for it. I mean, what planet do you live on where you think that is a reasonable price for something that is actually technically broken? Yeah, still playable. You know, still playable. Yeah, I'm sure it is. But what happens if I get that cartridge home and for some reason it isn't? You know, or if I stick my Sonic 2 cartridge in there and it gets all scratched up on the way in because there's a sharp bit of plastic. I don't know. You know. Right. So once again, I invite you to comment. There'll be stuff popped up here. There's a subscribe button up here. The videos you might like. I have been the Pickled Onion Knight. I have been to the London gaming market. And if it seems that that's the norm, I won't be going again. I'll see you in another video.